Hey, what's going on, Boise State fans? Happy Wednesday to you. BJ Rains, along with Matt Bauscher, former Boise State basketball star. Now he's a star in the real estate business as well. So, as always, please consider Bauscher Real Estate when you're looking to buy or sell that next home. And Matt's setting records every day, and we're setting records, Matt, every day with this show, man. 9 in a row, man. 10 in a row now. 10 in a row. 10-1 since we started the show. It's pretty cool, man. We've had a lot of fun things to talk about, man. How's it going this morning?
I keep waiting for us to have a loss when we have a show, but we were 3-4 when we started the show and 13-4 now.
And I do have a clip. I should have had it queued up, but I joked with Leon about that last time, and he said, "Hey, I was just giving you the one game to get your advertisers going and things, because the first day of the site they actually lost to St. Louis, but we hadn't done a show yet.
No,
they've won ever since." But it's been fun, man. And yeah, we'll have to see. We're not used to talking about a loss here, so we'll have to figure out. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about that for a while.
Nope.
But interesting game last night, man. We got some highlights we'll show here in a minute. But as you know, I'm in conference play. Sometimes you're not going to play your A game every game, right? It's just kind of survive and advance sometimes. And I know some of the computer numbers did dip a little bit last night, but those will even out if you win, right? I mean, I guess in the end, a win's a win. Or how do you look at last night's game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was sloppy offensively, but a win in the Mountain West is always a good win. Air Force gets you to play sloppy. I mean, they're very slow-paced, backdoor. I think the Vegas over-under was 160, and we got 60 or 120, so they were expecting it to be low, and it was right around there. I mean, we only scored 62 points, got the win. We got out-rebounded, which is not like us at all, so I know that'll be a locker room conversation, getting out-rebounded by a scrawny, weak, physically Air Force team. I mean, some of those guys looked like, they'd never seen a weight room. So for them to out rebound us, that's some pride that I would be talking about inside that locker room. But they won. I mean, it's 4 in a row. We're 4-0 in conference, and extremely, extremely happy. We were a little beat up there. We only played 7 guys. I know, dealing with some injuries and foul trouble. Shaver got in foul trouble last night, but we overcame it, and, game's over, on to the next.
And I know you agreed with every call they made last night, didn't you?
They were pretty good official-wise. I had some good conversations going with them. They flopped a few times, and I said, hey, don't reward Charmin over there for being soft. But, yeah, the refs, I thought they were pretty good overall.
And you were pretty well behaved last night as well. I did enjoy
there wasn't
that.
Calls, if
no, there wasn't.
Job, I stay a little quieter, but the crowd, I think, what'd you say? We had 7,000 there last night?
Yeah, just under, it was 6,997 or something, yeah.
For a Tuesday night, I mean, it's not what you want, but, I mean, if that's the kennel we built, we're sold out. So,
yeah. It was okay. It was loud. It was it wasn't, by attendance-wise, the biggest crowd of the season. It was up there, but, I mean, it was fine. And you just hope that, that's fine for that game. But once you start getting into Wyoming next week, you would hope would be even bigger. And then you have, because they're playing really well. And then you do have the Utah State, San Diego States, UNLVs, Nevadas of the world, Colorado State's still to come. So you hope you'll give the fans last night. It was okay for what it was, but that's no excuse for moving forward. You still want to see them. You would still hope that third deck gets opened for at least a couple of games this season moving forward. But what did you make last night? Marcus Shaver Jr. did have the foul trouble, had 3 fouls in the first half. They didn't have Pavle Kuzmanovic available for unknown reasons. I think in this day and age, you can kind of guess why he wasn't around, but he was unavailable as well. And then they only played 7, and then you had, as you said, Emmanuel Acott go down and midway. He hit 3 threes early in the game. He's on fire, and then he tweaks his Achilles and goes out for the rest of the first half. And Leon attributed that stretch. It was almost 8 minutes, Matt. It was 7:48 where Boise State didn't score a single point. And during that stretch, I think they still missed a couple free throws, were missing shots. The amazing thing was they still had the lead. They didn't score for almost 8 points and still led the game after that. But Leon said that those guys were just getting tired at that point because they had no one else they could put in the game. But what was just your take, I guess, on the limited guys? And we've talked about how that's going to be an issue for this team if they don't have a super deep bench, and at some point the fatigue and all that's going to catch up to them. And you hope it's not here in the next couple of days with this busy stretch. But they battled through it last night and did what they could.
Yeah, we were up 12. We could have put them away and stepped on the throat. Instead, we let them in, and it became a 2-point game. So you don't like seeing that ever, because if we're not playing Air Force there, we probably, potentially have a chance to lose that game the way we, didn't put them away when we had the opportunity. But one of the officials came over to me at halftime and he said, your boys didn't score for 8 minutes. They can't make a free throw. That's not my fault. And he's right. I mean, we can't go 8 minutes without scoring a basket. And it's not like, Air Force is this physically imposing team. So that's where we got to, Shaver, I feel like he can score at any time he wants, get to the basket, but he was in foul trouble. We had a lot of turnovers. I mean, 9 assists and 14 turnovers against their pressures, not acceptable.
No. Jason Green, this is our viewer in Australia, Matt. We got viewers all over the world. Jason Green watching this in Australia right now, saying solid win by the Broncos. The problem, I guess, maybe you look at this a little differently, is it is 2 in a row where you quote unquote won ugly. You didn't play great at New Mexico. You didn't play great last night, and you let Air Force shoot, 51% or whatever it was from the field. Now, they only scored 56 points, which you'll take because of just their style and taking the shot clock down. And it felt like they hit a couple kind of crazy deep threes at the end of the shot clock that just kind of, fluked in there, I guess. But it was just a weird game. You mentioned the out rebounding. You mentioned you look at a lot of the stats and they point towards Air Force. But in the end, I guess, I know the KenPom numbers dipped a little bit, so maybe you do care a little bit. But, as someone that's been through the gauntlet of conference play and kind of knows what it takes, there's going to be games, right, where you're not at your best and you have to find a way to win.
You watch film, you get guys healthy, and you move on. And in a week or two, you literally don't care if you beat Air Force by 6 or you beat them by 16. It doesn't matter. But I'm very proud of the guys, being shorthanded, being beat up to get the win and, move on and take care of business. That says a lot, And huge game tomorrow. We don't have time. Unfortunately, with that schedule we were handed, 5 games in 11 days and 5 states. So we're on to Logan, and they're struggling confidence-wise, and we need to take advantage of it. They started 9-4. They're 1-4 in conference. I can't remember the last time Utah State was 1-4 in conference.
I don't know. That's a good question. And they had to play last night in Fresno. They were up 14 in the first half and then kind of gave it away. So they had to travel back, either last night or this morning. So they're dealing with a similar, that's at least makes it a little more even. Boise State's going to travel down today, and they had to travel down and play last night as well. So both teams will be on a quick turnaround. Here's a couple highlights, Matt. Let's talk about things. We watched the game here, and this is obviously, this is all second half. Boise State in the second half was trying to get things going, and it just felt like they were just waiting for something, because Utah State did take the lead a couple of times. And I thought the next 2 buckets here, Max Rice gave him a big spark. He had the offensive rebound there, and then he scores here in transition.
He had a couple of free throws, which was good. That was a great pass. Great pass.
I know it's been tough, and Acott, again, he came back in the second half. We'll talk about Max Rice in a minute when the highlights are over, but I thought there's Emmanuel Acott trying to fire up the crowd. I thought this was a big play here, too. Milad Narmouche gets the block. Boise State's coming in transition. I think the building was ready to explode if Max Rice would have hit this 3, and it was in and out. It was so close.
That was like at the fair. That felt like when I shoot at the fair and the ball is bigger than the hoop. I don't know how, and I love that he just laughed, and he just moved on. And he played, Max played great, I thought, offensively and defensively.
When you need a big bucket, you go to Marcus Shaver Jr. He gets the drive there. And then final clip here is Tyson Degenhart. He spins back baseline. He gets the big bucket to go as well. And so I want to talk about Tyson Degenhart, but let's go to Max Rice for a minute first, Matt. This is a guy that we've talked about. It's been a struggle for him at times this season, and the 3-point shot is just not falling. I think he's only got, 1 made 3-pointer still the whole season or something crazy when you think about it. And we talked to him after the game, and he said he's just staying positive, trying to help out in other ways. And I thought he got a little confidence, scoring on that offensive rebound, and then the great pass from Acott in transition. I thought that maybe that can be the start of something for Max Rice.
Yeah, and I think the good thing with Max is he plays really good defense. He hustles. He's a great chemistry guy. He won't take a stupid shot. And he had 4 rebounds, a steal. He went 2 for 3 from the field. The only shot he missed was the one that went three quarters of the way down. You can tell the guys like playing with him out there. And once he starts hitting shots, everything's going to change, because that's the only thing literally that hasn't gone down for him is the shot behind the arc. So once that starts hitting, the court will even spread more for the other guys. And that's a thing where me and Mark Sanchez were talking last night. You got to shoot 4 or 5 in a game. If you go 0 for 1 or 0 for 2 throughout the season, your percentage looks terrible, but you never get a rhythm. If you shoot 2 and you miss it, you might make the next 2, and now all of a sudden you're the best shooter in the world at 50%. So you have to shoot yourself out of that. and not even think about it. Because 0 for 1, 0 for 2 looks really bad on paper.
And he's not getting – it seems like they're still guarding him pretty tough.
Oh, yeah. They're not leaving.
Crazy. For a guy that's shooting like 4% from three-point range or whatever it is, he doesn't get a ton of open looks. And then when he does still seem a little gun-shy in terms of wanting to let it fly. And I know we talked about that earlier in the season, but I know that's tough as a shooter where you got to shoot to get the confidence. But if you don't have the confidence, it's hard to shoot.
Yeah, and I would shoot all day. And if you don't make it, you don't make it. Life goes on. But they're still playing him. They're going for a shot fake. They're all over him, and it's opened up the other guys. But one thing I want to point out is Abu only took 3 shots last night, and he had some really, really bad turnovers. But
too much dribbling for me. Too much dribbling. Seems like he's getting a little happy at the top of the key dribbling and posting guys up, dribbling a little bit. Now he did have a couple nice passes. One time he backed a guy down and then had a behind the back pass. I think it was Armouche that dunked it. But I do think that Kejab the last 2 games in particular, a little too much dribbling for my liking at least.
Yeah, I mean. You got to almost have him come off a screen or a quick post up before the double team or him attack, and watch. But for him dribbling 5 or 6 times, most of the time it doesn't end the way we want it to.
Hey, Tyson Degenhart, he had, I think, the last 3 games, a little bit of a lull for him, 20 points. I had reported it. He was actually one of the guys that actually had to fly down the morning of the Nevada game. So he had gotten cleared later than the other, guys for the reasons that you can, figure out after the 14-day pause. And so he flew down the morning of the game, didn't have a great game against Nevada, didn't have a great game against, New Mexico. I think his last 3 games, he had 20 total points. Last night, he looked more like himself, 19 points, 5 of 10 from the field. He made 8 of 9 free throws, which is probably the highlight on this team that can't shoot free throws. He goes 8 of 9. And he also drew 6 fouls against him for opponents. And I just, for a freshman, he doesn't look like a freshman at this point, man. I know Leon and the staff were hyping him up. They loved him. They were happy to get him, but he looks like a guy that has a chance, 4 years from now to be one of the cornerstone, all-time greats here.
I could not agree more. I mean, he took 10 shots. He had 19 points. He played 35 minutes. He didn't look tired the whole game, and he only turned the ball over once in 35 minutes. He's an emotional spark for us. I mean, he gets the crowd going. He plays hard. He plays unselfish. He's honestly every coach's dream that you wish more players were like him who were so selfless. I mean, you wouldn't even know he only had 20 points in the last 3 games because he's upbeat. He has great body language, and it's contagious. It really is. It's contagious in the locker room, and it's contagious on the practice court.
Another comment coming in here, Nathaniel saying, agreeing with us about Abu. He's trying to be a little too cute and fancy with the ball and making the smart passes these past 2 games. Anything else? Najee Smith, we didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he had a huge game against New Mexico. And I know last night he only had a couple points, couple rebounds, but just the evolution of Najee Smith. And Matt, for a team like this, how important is it to have a guy off the bench that you can count on to come in and play some? He actually ended up playing more minutes than Mladen did last night. They're starting to play him more and more, and he's making it harder for them to take him off the court. His energy, his effort, his defensive ability with his length, his ability to sky up and get some high rebounds. I mean, Najee Smith, I think last year they wanted to redshirt him because of the COVID year. They got to play him a little bit and didn't have to count the year. So you look at him now in his second year coming over from JUCO. I think Najee Smith's a really important key to this team moving forward.
He can do a little bit of everything. I mean, a lot of it doesn't even show up in the stat sheet. He's diving for the ball. He's getting tips. I mean, he had 1 rebound last night from our angle. It looked like he jumped off a trampoline. He had 2 block shots. I mean, he's a great energy guy. He's going to play 20 to 30 minutes, I think, every night here moving forward, just because he can play. You can interchange him in so many different ways. And he spreads the court. They have to respect him there in that corner, and he shoots it with confidence.
Tell us, so this next stretch, they have 1 day off today. Now we look ahead here as we start to wrap this up, but I know you've done similar stretches, maybe not 5 games in 10 days, but when you have the 1 day of prep, whether it's in a tournament somewhere or something, a lot of times you don't have the travel involved. But they're not going to do much on the court today. Leon said that guys obviously need their rest and recovery. They'll watch film, they'll have a meeting, mental stuff like that. What's kind of the for this next stretch, what's the most important things in terms of hydration and their nutrition and the mental side of it? How do they spend the 48 hours or 46 hours between the end of last night's game and obviously having to be ready to play tomorrow, and then knowing you have to do it again? They'll charter after the game tomorrow, straight to San Diego, 1 day off Friday, play again Saturday. For fans out there, how tough is this next 4-day stretch here, these 2 games for the Broncos?
It's extremely tough and it's rare. And what I like about it is you get to the Mountain West tournament in March and you play 3 games in 3 days, and you're never prepared for that throughout the season. So this is going to really prepare them in March, assuming we go to the championship, which I fully expect. 3 games in 3 days. And honestly, we have a chance to beat Utah State, which is really tough on their home court. They just got a demoralizing loss yesterday up on the road. You're up, you lose, you got to travel home.
You're up by 15.
You're up by 15. You lose on the road. You have to go home, and you got the Broncos on a 10-game winning streak coming to town. Confidence-wise, I can tell you there's very little confidence in that Utah State locker room, and we need to take advantage of that. We really do. I mean, it's a really tough pace to play. They're going to come out. The crowd's going to come out. They want to kill our win streak. What are we, the second or third longest win streak in the
Third right now, yep.
Third in the country right now. They want to beat us. We've always had that rivalry with them. And, if we can steal that win, and we're 5-0 in conference, and now we've had some big wins. I mean, we're rolling into San Diego State, and I like our odds.
And I think that's kind of the key. I think tomorrow's game on this 2-game stretch is big because I really think Boise State needs to find a way to just split. I mean, you want to win both. I think they have a chance to win both, but I think it starts with tomorrow night. You win this one tomorrow night, then I think you're almost kind of playing with house money going to San Diego, because I think if you said right now you're going to win in Logan and lose in San Diego, I think most people in Boise State would probably take that. I mean, you just got.
I think realistically, I think you're right. The word split would never be used in a locker room ever. Hey guys, let's just split. You're giving them an out, but I really think we'll be favorites tomorrow at Utah State. I really do. I think
Ken Pom has it 1 point for Utah State, which basically means it's a pick-em. It's a really tough game. And like you said, they've lost 3 in a row. They've lost to 3 pretty good teams, Colorado State, Wyoming, and Fresno, all, top 60 at Ken Pom. But they also lost at Air Force, in their first conference game. So they've lost 4 out of 5 games. They are struggling, like you said. But, the D. Glenn Smith spectrum, everybody remembers Nick Duncan flipping off the fan. There's all kinds of stories of going there and playing. So me personally, I look at this just as a neutral observer. You go 1-1 and you'll take your chances on that. And so I think tomorrow is the one you want to get, because if you get tomorrow, you don't want that pressure of losing tomorrow, having to go to San Diego, thinking about, having to go 0-2, knowing, we have Wyoming and Fresno up next week. I mean, you're mentally, you start going, and then the fans say, here we go, the late season slide or whatever. So, I mean, I think tomorrow is the big one. You win tomorrow, you get it to 11, and then you go down there and it's San Diego State's first game coming off the COVID pause in 2 weeks, and you take your chances and maybe it happens. But I think tomorrow is a huge game. But in the end, these next 2 games for me, if they can just go 1-1, that to me kind of holds serve and keeps you alive, moving forward in the season.
Yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be a really good test for us. I mean, I know physically we're going to be beat up. We saw it on the court last night. I mean, there were times it looked like we had 5-pound weights around our ankles. But I think if we can still tomorrow, we got all the confidence in the world going down to sunny California to play San Diego State. They're coming off a long lull of a COVID pause. We're coming off an 11-game winning streak. So today you rest, you get down there, you drink a lot of fluids, you maybe get some shots up, but tomorrow it's go time again.
Hey, Bauscher Real Estate, there's the phone number right there. The easiest way, the website as well, bauscherrealestate.com. Nobody sold more homes in 2021 than Matt Bauscher, and he's already off to keeping that going here in 2022 as well. You can hear the emails, the phones. He's selling houses while he's on the air here. So appreciate it, Matt. Always good to see you at the games. Always fun to do this. And we'll do this early next week. They play Wyoming on Tuesday, so maybe we'll do it Wednesday after the Wyoming game next week. We'll have 3 games between now and then.
Are we going to be 13-0 since the show started?
Don't get greedy. Let's go 2-1 in the next 3 and then kind of see what happens. But certainly we'll take the 3-0, and it's fun, man. It's been a lot of fun, and excited to see where they take this thing. And I hope we end up having to make this a postseason NCAA tournament editions of the Matt Bauscher Show if they can keep this rolling. But
I know you're going to be in Logan, so you don't let those fans get away with anything for me.
Dude, the students sit. I mean, it's they're not heckling me, but it's like literally the way the media seating is set up. They're like standing. If anyone's seen Duke, where the fans are right on top of the court, it's kind of like that, where they put the media and the students are like looking over my computer and kind of they're right there on you. So it is that
was the toughest place for us to play, no question.
It's an interesting atmosphere. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting down to San Diego as well. And Matt, always appreciate the time, man. And again, hope folks will give you a shout when they're looking to buy or sell that next home. And we'll talk next week, man. Hopefully after the Wyoming game, after another win.
Go Broncos.
There he is, Matt Bauscher. My name's BJ Rains. Appreciate it, guys. Take care, and we will talk to you pregame from the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum around 6:30 tomorrow night. Bronco Nation News, Bronco Nation News.